Greetings, I'm Dr. Sean Reed, author of the Dating Toolbox, available on Amazon.com. All right, guys, so today I want to talk about this idea. This idea is, how do we get women to treat us well? How do we get women to treat us like a king? I think if you're watching my video, the primary reason you're watching my videos is because you want to get beautiful women to treat you well. You want to get beautiful women to give you good relationships without a lot of argument, without a lot of negativity, with love, support, and peace. You know, you don't want your wife to divorce you. We want to be successful with women at all phases of a relationship. So today I want to talk about basic ways in which to get women to treat you well. Okay, so by the end of this video, you're going to understand how to get women to treat you well, whether you're 20 years into a marriage or whether you're 2 weeks into a relationship. Okay, so the bottom line, the key to getting women to treat you well is two things: challenge and emotional control. So I'm going to talk today about these two principles. I'm going to apply them. I'm going to give you some examples from my life, and then I'm going to talk about some other examples that you hopefully can apply to your life. Okay, so like I said, the key is challenge and emotional control. And one of my big principles is that talking about these things doesn't do you any good. Talking and complaining, communication is not going to solve these problems, okay? So, one of my themes is that the area where psychologists have it all wrong is they claim that communication solves all problems in relationship. And I argue that communication does not solve the problem. What solves the problem is keeping your woman in love with you, keeping her interest level high. And as I just said, the key to that is challenge and emotional control. Okay, so I'm going to give many examples. I'm going to start with some examples from my own life. I talked about this in my last few videos, and the fact was, my wife was not. I had a period of time, almost 3 weeks, where my wife was not treating me well. She wasn't doing what I wanted her to do. Okay, we went a 3-week period with no sex, and then we went a period where she wasn't cooking for me. My wife normally cooks for me every night. So I mentioned this in some of my other videos. My son is a pretty high-level wrestler, and so we had a period where we were not doing date nights. We were just going to his wrestling tournaments all day, get up very early in the morning. We're at the wrestling tournament for 12 hours. We come home and we're tired. And as a result, we were not having sex. Normally, my wife and I do a date night. We have affection, we have romance, and then that results in sex. But we're doing these wrestling tournaments. So I went a 3-week period with no sex. And at this point, I'm not too happy about it. I'm 62, guys. So if I was in my 40s, 3 weeks would be totally unacceptable. But since I'm older, I don't have sex quite as often as I did in my 40s. But any of you guys out there that are in sexless marriage or relationships and you're younger, you need to understand this is absolutely not acceptable. And here's what I did about the situation. So I had a 3-week period of no sex, and then my wife went on vacation. Well, not vacation. She went on a business trip for 3 days. And so for 3 days, she wasn't cooking for me. Okay, now let's think about if I had used communication. If I had complained to her, "Wah, I haven't had sex. Wah, you're not cooking to me," would that get me what I want? No. What I did is I exercised emotional discipline. I realized what was going on, that I was upset, I was unhappy, and when I used something that the Buddhists do called mindfulness, I realized what was going on, that my own emotions were running out of control, and that the key to success was disciplining them. So what I did is I just kept my mouth shut. My wife's on this business trip. I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I didn't complain. I didn't fight and argue with her. She would text, at night she would text me, how you doing? Hi, baby. And I would text her back, but I would not initiate anything. So I kept communication to a minimum. I didn't complain. I didn't whine about not getting dinner or sex for a period, okay? So I kept my mouth shut. Friday night, she comes home And now everything's good between us. She's happy to see me. She's excited. Saturday, we have a date night. We have dinner. She paid for dinner. We went out dancing, clubbing. We were affectionate. We were loving. And the night ended up in some really great sex till like 3 a.m. Okay? So by exercising emotional control, by saying nothing and being mindful, understanding what's going on, that my own emotions were spinning out of control, I maintain really control over the situation. I increase my wife's interest level. Okay. Now, that's one example in my own personal life. Let's look at some other examples for you, some of you guys out there. Let's say you're in a marriage. You make $70,000 a year. Your wife makes $60,000 a year, right? And as happens in so many marriages, you fight and you argue over finances. Okay, your view is you're making $70,000 a year. You're paying a little bit more than half of everything. That's fair. In today's world, guys, where young women are out earning men, you are under no obligation to pay more than half the bills. That's something you got to understand. You should pay half the bills, but you're under no obligation. So if she wants to argue over finances, don't do that. What do? You keep your mouth shut. You understand that your emotions are what's going on. You use mindfulness to control your emotions. If you're going to do anything, do some housework. Give her romance, give her affection, but do not fight or argue with her. Okay? Very important, guys. Okay, so another question is, how does this apply to different stages of the relationship, right? Let's say you're single and you're hustling phone numbers and you're dating, okay? The key here, again, is emotional discipline. We do not get hung up on any one chick. We're getting lots of phone numbers. We're dating lots of women. We're only seeing them once a week, okay? So, again, guys, we're constructing our lives so we're not allowing our emotions to get out of control, okay? We're not becoming obsessed on any one woman. And like I said, anytime that we do, we have to stay mindful. You have to understand what's happening. So if you're early in the dating process and you stop seeing all other women, you start seeing this woman 2-3 times a week, you're going to lose it. You're not going to be able to maintain your emotional control. So we have techniques by which we maintain our emotional control, okay? And when you maintain emotional control, when you're mindful, when you exercise discipline, that increases a woman's interest level. All right, guys? So again, this is critical. So if you want your woman to treat you well, the key is emotional control and challenge. All right, guys. So if you like what you saw and what you heard today, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to get deeper into how to have good relationships with women, check out my book. It's available on Amazon.com. $13 for the book. There's an ebook version that's only $4. This, guys, will help you tremendously in your dating life. And thank you for listening.